Hello, everybody. Welcome to Vibe Time with Jerry with my co host, David Flowers.
Hey, how's it going?
And of course, it's the third Tuesday. And so we have the infamous John Stevens. What's up, Snowball?
It seems like it's been so long since I've been on here, and it's just one of those funky weeks where it's like been 5 weeks, since the last time I was on here,
I
and
know
so
it.
a lot has transpired since then. We've gone through 5 weeks, Halloween, and we've gone through now. We're next week is Thanksgiving. It's
I
just kind
know.
of rolling right on through.
It is.
So if I freeze up, y'all freeze up every once in a while. So on my
Oh,
screen, so
definitely.
I don't know if we've got the bargain basement deal here for the video,
Well, so far it seems to be doing okay.
but
I
there's
mean,
been
it's
a lot.
fun.
There's been a lot of events and a lot of things that have taken place since the last time we talked. I mean, we were getting ready to kick off the spooky season, and we've had some events out at the cabin. We've had events out at Tuckahoe. We've had events at, oh gosh, Dunlora. We've had events at, um, we've done, cool events with the putting flags at the cemetery for veterans. Um,
Yep.
and a lot of good ghost tours went through around Halloween. So, but there's still a lot of events getting ready to take place. Um,
Right.
and I'm just curious with your new platform, are you able to see who's joining and stuff like that, or numbers or anything like that? Or
Nope.
Well, we just got to I know that there's three people watching now, but somebody's got to put something in the chat at least so we can tell because we're running off of my page, David's page, Vibe Time with Jerry. We're recording to YouTube and what was the other one? The co-op page. So we have five
Virginia,
plat.
Paran- Virginia
Yeah,
Paranormal Occurrence Research.
yeah.
and I'm at your page, Dave Paranormal Co-op, and
Okay.
I don't see the link on there,
Hmm.
or it's showing up. Um, and you said it's on Vibe Time with Jerry as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm trying to let me see the chat. Like I said, we're still trying to
I see it on
navigate.
yours.
Hey,
So
Fredericksburg Paranormal just said hi.
yep,
Yeah.
and Shayla,
See,
Yeah.
I can't see chats coming in.
yeah.
Let me go on here and see. Like
Did,
I said, we're
did you click the chat button on the right hand side?
yeah. What does this say? Ugh, aging sucks.
There we go.
Ugh,
And
Hey, Phil.
Phil and Ronnie's here. Great. Um, before at some point, what I wanted to do was kind of the last time we got together, we talked about the history in Virginia and stuff like that. Wanted to kind of take it a little bit step further and talk about some of the best locations to investigate in Virginia. And when I started putting together the list of places that I have investigated, now I'm not counting anything, any private locations. I'm talking about these are places that are open to the public, and you can and they do investigations there. So there may be places. For instance, it always shows up as the number one haunted place in Virginia is the Peyton Randolph House.
I get so frustrated with that.
But you can't get in there to investigate. So why is it?
Mhm.
How do we know that it's haunted? I mean, we know it's haunted, but how do there is no evidence coming out of there? The only evidence I've heard of is the same stories they've told for the past 20 years about
Yeah.
people leaving work there and never returning, people running from there, but there's nothing. So those kind of places, though they're be haunted, you can't investigate them. So it does no good to put them on any kind of list. This particular type of list, I'm talking about places to investigate. And so I've come up quite a huge list. But what I wanted to do was give you what I consider a top 5 of haunted locations in Central Virginia that you can investigate and that are good bang for the buck type of places. Not all of them are in Central Virginia, but they're easily recognizable and do events quite frequently. But in looking at the list, I know like John with Fredericksburg Paranormal. They've done so many locations in and around Fredericksburg, and there are a lot of places that, like Paul Shields has told me about with Culpeper, where they'll get into a place and investigate, or Stephen Thompson they'll go into a place and investigate there in Stafford, and I don't know that much about those places. I mean, other than I've toured them, maybe historic places, but you don't ever get a chance to investigate there. I got to looking on a list, and it was listing all the plantations down Route 5, and you got where Shirley and Berkeley and Westover and Edgewood and several of those places, they've done investigations or they've done ghost tours or some sort of. I know at Edgewood and at Berkeley there have been investigations, but the haunted stories that come out of all of those locations up and down Route 5 are amazing. And some of the places have closed and are no longer open to the public.
Hello, Dennis.
Places like
I'm glad
Carter's
you can see it.
Carter's Grove in Williamsburg is a place that I would just die to investigate, and because it's one of the oldest homes in America, and it was part of the Williamsburg Foundation for years until it got sold into private hands. And Ronnie, where you're located, your places may be completely different from mine. This is not a all encompassing, and this could easily change next week. That's the thing. Hey Tina, and yeah, Dennis they used to do Edgewood. I'm not sure if they changed owners or what, but then they just stopped doing investigations. They used to kind of like welcoming those kind of things. But the last time Edgewood was done was probably about 2020, 2019, something like that. Because Crop used to do Edgewood all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Crop is a bunch of hacks. Love you, Dennis.
Bunch of hacks.
Assholes can relate.
I would love, some. I would love to do like a combination of mountain monsters, um, Duck Dynasty, and but as a paranormal team. Could you imagine them going into some of these locations and with that with that hillbilly Southern thing? I used to love the Ghost Brothers or whatever they were because they would scream and run out of a place in a heartbeat, and it was freaking hilarious. And I don't think a lot of it was planned. I think they just like legitimately got scared and ran. So, um, anyway, but there are some events coming up, and I'm just curious of if how y'all's new platform here is performing, and are people able to find it with ease and
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just, to me, I like it a little bit better than StreamYard.
we're good.
It has a little bit more features to it. Like I said, we just have to navigate it some to learn. It's very similar to StreamYard. And it does have a share screen button down here. I guess if you click on it, it'll let you share. I guess that's how that works. That's why we were doing test stuff the other day, but both of us, yeah, it allows you to share slides, videos. So it does allow you to do that.
It says Dennis says the cabin on 360 has an open house coming up.
Yep.
Yes, it does.
And actually, that's a good segue to go into because that was the very first thing I had on my list. Called Thriller Thursdays, first and third Thursdays, $25, 2-hour investigation, 7 to 9. Get there at 6:30, something like that for a pre-talk and then a mini investigation. Dennis, I don't know if you were here when we were talking about the EVP that Sarah posted from, I assume it was the Brick Rancher, where it sounded like a young female voice saying, "He'll see you coming." That was incredible, very clear. I just wish I could share it. And so that was posted, I think, a couple of hours ago. Couple other events. We've got a few that are going to be ending the year here. December 7th, TWC is going to be at the Exchange. That's Tennessee Ray Chasers. There's an event this Saturday at the John Marshall House and courtyard there in downtown Richmond. 7 p.m. Costs us $35. St. Albans again. Tennessee Ray Chasers will be there on the 14th with Haunted Nights at St. Albans. I think that's their last event of the year. Couple other things. There's a December 11th open house out at the cabin on 360 from, I believe that's from 6 to 10. And it's free. Investigate and bring gifts for, can't remember the calls. Maybe Dennis can
Toys for Tots.
It wasn't Toys for Tots. It was
Giving ghosts, wasn't it?
Battered women, maybe something like that.
Oh, that was something else.
Maybe I'm getting them confused or something, but
yeah.
Let me skip ahead a little bit. January 31st, February 1st is the Paracon out at Hanover Courthouse at the Hanover Tavern. That was well represented last year by just about everybody. So that'll be a good event to go to in that part in January. Thing that I'm really excited about for Fredericksburg Paranormal is the lockdown at Belle Grove. They've got 4 or 5 dates set up for next year already. These are events where it's an all-nighter. You know, you can do a shorter investigation and leave at 1, or you can stay all night. February 8th, March 12th, July 19th, August 10th, and November 15th. And then also in April 26th, the EnigmaCon is coming back to St. Albans. So tickets are anywhere from 50 to 70, depending on if you get the general admission or the VIP. Looking forward to that. I'm going to try to make it this year. June 20th, Bigfoot Con out at Wires Cave. And then on another great event will be at Belle Grove, June 27th and 28th. The only reason I'm mentioning these, because these are kind of special. Fredericksburg is going to be Fredericksburg Paranormal with John. He's going to be him and his team will be the host for that event with Tennessee Ray Chasers coming into town for Haunted Nights. And I think I saw where Culpeper Paranormal is going to be assisting. And Tyler and Haunted Nights crew. So it's going to be a big event. The good thing about that place is they can hold a lot of people at that event because there's multiple locations on that property that you can investigate. That is going to be an exciting weekend for everyone that's involved. As always, what I say is just if y'all can put any events into there's I knew I was going to miss something. December 7th is the toy drive out at the cabin. Thank you, Ryan. If y'all can put in the events and maybe any links you want to publish for events that are coming up. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the EnigmaCon. Unfortunately, I think one year I was going to go and kind of COVID kind of kept that from happening. And then actually another time I believe I was supposed to go, but a friend of mine who was supposed to meet me there couldn't make it. So I just ended up going by myself. But in order to, with all the paranormal teams going to be at the EnigmaCon and the investigations that are going to be going on, it's going to be a good event. But I want to know how y'all been doing at the Manor House.
We've been having a record-breaking year.
Is that all you want to say? I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, we've been super busy as far as the tours go. We've had a few private investigations.
Oh, good.
Oops.
You ever have anybody walk up and say, "Do y'all do investigations?" and then you tell them, and then they sign up?
Yeah. Wow. We've had a few people walk up, say, what are you doing here? And I said, told them but we're about the tour, and they said, how do you get tickets? Go down the activity desk. And they sign up.
Yeah, it's always amazing is when you're kind of hanging out before y'all's tour, and people are kind of like, some people will actually come into the house and they'll just start walking around, and you don't know whether they've paid for the tour or they're just checking the place out. They're just kind of walking around.
Yeah, we've Geri started putting up a sign So we put up a sign every night now, about an hour beforehand, just saying the house is closed for a private event.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a private investigation coming up on December 13th.
That's great.
Yeah.
Anything happening recently there that has really stood out?
We've we've captured got a few EVPs that's been pretty interesting. Waiting on Geri to go through her body camera to let me know exactly what it was I heard. Yeah, I got new glasses, Dennis. The other ones were over 10 years old. I, I really couldn't see out of them. I'm not trying to look intellectual. I done give up on that a long time ago.
But so the crowds have been really good and everything
Yeah,
like
crowds
that.
have been
Yeah,
really good.
that's good.
Well, busy.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have to fire Geri anytime soon.
So with the is it would you say Monday nights are pretty good as well, or is it
Yeah,
mostly?
here in the last couple of tours have been kind of a little bit on the slow side, but up before then we've been having record numbers Mondays and Saturdays.
Doesn't that pick up there around in December because of all the festivities
Yeah,
going down everybody's road?
the last week in December is usually um, pretty busy.
Good, good.
Yeah, and then it'll drop off. And in January and February, we're only doing Saturday nights.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's probably smart.
Yeah, okay. And the only reason I'm doing those is just keeping my foot in the door because I've had a couple of people in the past try to snake the tours away from me.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we'll just have to take them out. Um,
Yep.
it's interesting that I've always people will ask me like where would you go ghost hunting and stuff like that, and I was like, well, how serious are you? Do you like is 6 hour? Would you consider a 6 hour investigation too long or too short or what? And they're like, oh, you investigate for 6 hours. I was like, yeah, you pretty much gotta. It's sort of like fishing. You gotta stick out there, and you may or may not get anything, but you gotta stick it out and hang in there. And they're like, so you don't see any ghosts. You hear questions like that. You'll hear people say, I don't know if I can sit um, in places for that long and stuff like that. And um, but most people are really open to wanting to try something.
Yeah.
So I try to steer them towards more ghost tours if they've never experienced anything before or done anything like this, to kind of pique their interest a little bit, because a lot of the places that do the ghost tours will also do some sort of investigating, or they can get in touch with some places. That's how I found out about. Uh, and this, I was, we were doing ghost tours all around Virginia, and I found out there was an investigation at this place called the Exchange Hotel in Gordonsville, and I had heard about it. I'd read that it was a very haunted location and everything like that, and I had gone to visit it during the day. And I said, it didn't get really anything, but I bet it's creepy at night. And they said, well, we got an investigation coming up. So lo and behold, I went, and that was a lot of fun. that was like the very first one. My sister, they found out about one at Edgewood with Crop, and I could not do it for the particular reason of it was just on a night I had something else planned. And then the very next weekend, I believe, was an event out at Pamplin Park. And so, or shortly thereafter at Pamplin Park. And that one I did make and went and met Dennis for the first time, met Gene. And because my sister was in Gene's group out at Edgewood. And then I got to tell them about Pamplin Park. And then, finding out about the cabin on 360, going and investigating out there. It seemed like that there for a while. I did 3 or 4 of my straight events were out at the cabin on 360 in Bell Grove. Was it also with John Sullivan, meeting him for the first time and getting a chance to do that as well. It's just amazing. And I was like, man, I'm hooked. Now I had been doing the Manor House since 2016 or 2017. And I found some pictures. And so, those were more so, tours, but again, this is what I steer people towards, because this will get you finding out whether you like it or not.
Right.
If you get a chance to see equipment being used and being used properly and figuring out, because during that time, about 8 to 10 years ago, there seemed to be the apex of paranormal shows on TV. They were on every channel, and there was several different shows. And now there's only one, and that's the longest running one. But no one else has been able to survive. And there's been some good shows I would have loved to still watch, but they're not around anymore. I keep hearing about certain shows coming back and things like that, and certain teams coming back and doing different versions of kind of the same show. But I miss a lot of them. I don't care for the ghost adventures. But some of the others, I mean, to tell you, they were really good. I tell you what, when I first watched Ghost of Shepherdstown, I just was like, this is a good show. And then I realized what the power of a good ghost show will do for a town. Shepherdstown went through the roof with their tourism department. Couldn't keep up with all the demands of people wanting to come there and tour and walk around, and the streets would be flooded with people because of that TV show. What I talked about at the beginning of the show was top 5 locations. This is in no particular order, and would change most likely next week, depending on my flavor that I have in my mouth right now for some of these places. But as I was telling y'all earlier, I was putting together a list of places that I had either investigated or had heard about. These are places that are open to the public, or had been open to the public, and places that that were supposedly very popular and had some type of ghost activity that had been documented. Now, if you do a Google search of most haunted locations in Virginia, there's a couple of things that happen. First, you'll see the same article just repeated and somebody takes credit for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear some of these places, they haven't been open to the public in 15 years, 20 years. And I don't know why they continue to put them on a list of most haunted places, because who knows what's in there? No one can get in there to investigate. We were talking about Peyton Randolph. That is just one of the places. But there are a lot of places like that. Now, also, I couldn't put on the list anything private. So there are a lot of well-known places that are in private hands that nobody can investigate either. But you may be able to do a private investigation there. And then there are places that have been open in the public in the past, and occasionally they do events and or they've recently done them. Maybe you haven't done them in a while, but and again, this is in no particular order, at least at the top of the list. And I'm only going to pick 5. I thought about doing 10, but I tell you, the more I think about it, I could have named 25 places, and so it's really difficult because I have an affinity for a lot of these places for one reason or another. Now, that's the thing is, you and I, Jerry, can go to the cabin and we can have an awesome night there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But the next person may not have anything happen.
Right.
So that's going to skew my belief about a particular place. Okay. There are many seasoned investigators, many of them on this chat, that have done a lot of locations that I've never been to. And they will say, oh, that place was off the charts. If we could ever do places like that on a regular basis, people would see.
Right.
And those are the places that interest me, but also I don't know what is, you know, I don't know how to put that on a list. And certainly I had mentioned places like in Fredericksburg and stuff. There's a lot of places that people have gotten into. They may be famous places, and people have gotten in there and done them. And they've gotten great evidence, but they won't do any true public investigations. And I'll tell you, a place is like Monticello. Very haunted location. From the people that I've talked with that are tour guides there, that stuff happens there all the time, but they will never, ever, 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 unless somebody says, I'm going to give you $1 million to let me spend the night there one night. They may do it at that point, but they're never going to allow anything like that or promote anything like that. That's understandable. I understand it. But those places, are they haunted? Absolutely. Is Shirley Plantation haunted? Absolutely. They ain't a place that's built in the early and been the longest running business, family owned business in America. The first house built where Shirley's at in 1613. I think that there's been a lot of things that have happened on that property and probably the stuff that goes on there, but they would never allow any public investigations to go on there. One of the places down the road does make my top 5, and that's Berkeley. Uh-huh. So Berkeley Plantation is a place, and y'all have heard me talk about it. A lot of the most historic places in America. Everything has happened there. Indian Wars, Revolutionary War, Civil War. Death of presidents, a lot of death. A lot of people have been, have died in the house, have died on the property. And a lot of sightings, uh, a lot of activity, and they don't do a lot of investigations. They only do a couple a year. So thank goodness they do allow for that sort of thing. What are the other locations? I just wanted to make mention. And like I said, some of these would change because I forget that these places exist or that it's been a while since I've been there. And I don't want to take away from anybody because everybody's got these kinds of places or their kind of lists. I just want you to start thinking about it. If you had to list a place or have a list of places that you could recommend to people, what would your list look like? And it may be this week, may be different from next week.
Right.
To me, and I went back and forth on this, and I'm still going back and forth on it. Bacon's Castle, only because the I've investigated there twice, and the material that I got there was extraordinary. And I mean that in that what I experienced there was like, I was told that this stuff happens all the time. So now I believe that. And unfortunately, they don't allow investigations there a lot. But when you do get a chance to investigate there, you may experience something that you won't experience anywhere else. And that's why this week that would make my list because of some of the evidence that I've heard coming out of there. Number 3 on my list this week is the Manor House in Powhatan Plantation. Just because I've done it so many times and I kind of have an affinity for the place and hearing and knowing what I've experienced, and still expect to see things happen when I go in there.
Yeah, and you captured one of the best pictures that's been caught there.
I don't often tell people about that picture before I tell them about some of the EVPs I've captured there, which are pretty cool as well. So things off the SB7 have been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that always has of the spot on my list somewhere. You know, this week's a little bit higher because maybe it's because I have a yearning to get back there. Number 2 on my list this week is the Exchange Hotel in Gordonsville, because I have never had a time when I've gone there where I haven't had an experience. It's always been fun. I mean, to tell you, with as many floors as it has and three locations on the property that you can do, there you run out of time is what you end up doing. And it can be a lot of fun. But again, these are locations that are always doing investigations there. And you become kind of attached to some of them after you've done them a few times.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now, like I said, my list is a little bit different than what it might be next week, because I certainly could put Henricus on that list. I could certainly put Pamplin Park on that list. But this week's number 1 is, and I have yet to find anything to really top it, is St. Albans. And that I think you can go in that place in any room and get evidence, any room in that building, and find and capture evidence. If you're there long enough, you will see something or get something that will be sometimes terrifying and sometimes scary, where the building is scary enough. And I don't think I could be in a wing of that building at night by myself before I would probably run out of there at some point. I mean, it's just, you just don't know what's going to be coming around the corner or what you see behind you or see in front of you. And I've seen all the videos of people capturing stuff with the body cam on the front and the back of them. And then they go down the hallway and they see something behind them that goes across the hallway. That kind of stuff happens there all the time. I'm sorry, but it's just one of those places. Again, that's just a quick 5 locations that I picked that I have an affinity to, and it's again, it has to be places that this particular list you can openly investigate on a regular basis. That is still open for business. Now, if you say Fairy Plantation, well, yeah, Fairy Plantation is a very haunted location, but they don't do investigations anymore.
Oh.
And there's a lot of places like that just won't do stuff. Yeah, Ronnie, if you sleep there, it's a challenge. It's not a good sleep. I can believe that. That's one of the reasons I'm looking forward to getting back to St. Albans. Try to do that one at least once a year because it is such a fun location. But the thing is during the winter it's freezing cold, and during the summer it is cooking hot. It's either one or the other.
Right.
But you just kind of realize that you kind of get in there and it's going to be dusty and it's going to be gritty, and you just be ready for anything to happen.
Kind of like the manor house minus the dusty and gritty.
Right. But I'm curious like I said, some of the seasoned investigators we have, at least even in this chat, y'all have a lot of places that you've investigated before that you feel like would be on the list. Now, I didn't put on that list probably my all-time favorite is the Cabin on 360.
Mm-hmm.
Only because I've done it so many times and it never gets old. But I just wanted to squeeze in some other places that we can do. And people ask me, somebody asked me the other day, it's like, so you get into ghost hunting? I said, yeah, looking to go do something. I said, well, how far are you looking to travel? Well, how far? I mean, where do I have to go? And I was like, well, if you want to go to a place that's in Mechanicsville, just look up the Cabin on 360 and check out when their next event is and do that. It'll be one of the most inexpensive investigations you'll be able to do, and yet you'll probably have a lot of fun.
Dennis posted the website tco360.com.
Yeah. Now, when I was talking about, I had Googled this, and it's fun to do this. Just Google most haunted places in Virginia, and you'll get more junk than you can ever realize. But it did list a lot of places I've never heard of, and some places that, like I said, have not been open in years. So I don't even know why you would put that on the list. But then I realized these are people that are trying to fill space on a website or something like that, or maybe trying to be clickbait or something like that. Because a lot of them just put the same places time after time again. Like Fort Magruder Hotel. I don't know how many times I saw that show up on a list. And yet I've only had one person tell me they've ever had an experience there. So I don't know if that's a truly haunted location. Um, we had mentioned Peyton Randolph. What about the With House in Williamsburg?
Yeah.
But you can't get in there to investigate. But you
Uh-uh.
can hear all the ghost stories that you ever want to hear about the With House, and but I tell you a place you can investigate, but you can go there and have paranormal experiences is Newmarket Battlefield, and you can go there during the middle of the day and go into the Bushing farmhouse and be the only one on the battlefield and be the only one in that house and set up your recorder and then just wait. And you will walk away with a lot of EVPs. In an hour, you'll just have to leave. You'll hear more noises and stuff going on because that was in the center of the battlefield. I tell you another place that shows up on a lot of lists is the Stanton Train Depot. So if you've ever been to Stanton, there's a story of you're supposed to look down the train tracks and see some haunted train, or I can't remember the exact story, but maybe some soldiers that were coming down the tracks or something like that. And people swear that they've seen this. It kind of sounds like the same story that I hear at West Point, about the West Point railroad tracks as well, and those lights and the river and all that. You want to ever walk around a cool town at night? Walk around Yorktown at night.
Mm-hmm.
And what's that coffee shop there at Yorktown? Right there on
Mob Jack.
Yeah, Mob Jack, and walk around that town at night. And then how about Roswell during the day? You ever go out there in the middle of the day and be the only one out there? And you can't tell me it's not creepy. Creepy as crap. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, but hasn't Roswell changed some of their guidelines because they got insurance and now it's a liability, so you can't walk out there by yourself anymore. You got to have a person walk with you, and then they'll sit with you until you leave.
I didn't know that, but that kind of probably makes sense because I don't want half the building to fall on me.
Yeah, they've changed their guidelines, and I think that's why they didn't have their tours this year. Their little spooky tours, because once they got insurance, they found out that they were liable for certain things. So now they don't do some of their stuff anymore. At least that's what the lady told me last year when we went. Remember the last time we went, I asked about that because I used to like taking the kids out there, and we would just kind of sit there and chill out. And she was like, no, now you got to have a guide with you because of the insurance and the liability. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Ronnie mentioned Avenal. That's on the list. How about Major Graham Mansion? How about the Graffiti House and outside of Culpeper? How about Cold Harbor Battlefield? First paranormal experience I ever had was out at Cold Harbor. And that was 30 years ago.
Well, when you were 10?
Yeah. Back when you first got glasses.
Oh.
How about the Battleship Wisconsin that sits there in Norfolk?
Now, I don't believe that is haunted.
But they've done investigations there, but I don't think people want to investigate there, or they make it just too difficult to do it, or something. I don't know.
Yeah, because there's been nobody die on there. because during any battles that's happened, they've had people injured, but nobody died. And I've been on there several times, and I never got anything.
Yeah, maybe that's why they don't
Yeah,
do
Well, they may not
investigations
like
there.
you.
that's highly possible there.
Yeah, they're like, oh, asshole alert, and then they, shut up.
What about Old House Woods?
Haven't
Okay.
been there for a while, but most of the time, Kimberly's.
How about Wayside Inn in Middleton?
Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh my God, excuse me.
um, I tell you a place. How about the public Gale in Williamsburg? Um, if you walk down that same road that Peyton Randolph is on, and you keep going down towards the uh, what is it, the Capitol or
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, that whole area with when they captured those pirates and they hung them out there and everything like that. A lot of people have paranormal activity out there, and you can go there at any night and walk around out there. How about Swananoa in Afton? And they just did an event in around Halloween. I think they've got a Christmas tour getting ready to happen. It's not paranormal, but they've had a lot of people try to drive up on the property when they're not supposed to be there, and the Afton police are like, they will lock you up. They don't play. Um,
Hey, Dennis, yeah, death is a prerequisite to haunt because if you're not dead, you can't haunt.
right, makes sense.
Yeah, might not have to die at the location, but somebody has to die to do any kind of haunting.
Um, I've had people tell me that they've gotten paranormal experiences, and one person I truly trust said that uh, they were shocked how much they got, and this person never gets shocked. Um, Out at Sailor's Creek, which is in on the way to Farmville. It's I guess it's in um, it was Lee's one of Lee's last battles of the Civil War, where he basically lost the war at Sailor's Creek and didn't have much of an army left after that battle. But there's places on that battlefield that have a lot of paranormal activity because a lot of people died and quickly. And yeah, Sweetbriar College. So I think we ought to do a show on Virginia colleges that are haunted because I started finding out a lot of places that I didn't even think about. Randolph Macon and Mary Washington and what's the
William and
place?
Mary.
Yeah, and what's the
Mm-hmm.
place in Stanton? Um,
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
it's a female name. Uh,
Oh,
Mary Washington? That's not standing, is it?
no.
no.
Um,
On the tip of my tongue, too. What about Stratford Hall?
Stratford Hall won't allow you to investigate there, but I've taken a candlelight tour through that house,
Mm-hmm.
and that was amazing because it is nothing like being in a place like that in the middle of the night.
Have you heard anything about the Boxwood Inn here in Newport
Yes.
News?
Yeah.
Mm.
That was another place that was listed on some of the lists I saw that said uh, there's a list called the most haunted inns in Virginia, and like the Martha Washington Inn, and Oh gosh, what is the other one? The darn, there's so many of them. But yeah, the Boxwood Inn. There were several up in Alexandria and that area that made the list.
Yeah, I know the Boxwood Inn. They used to let
Very,
people do private. They used to let people do privates, but I know they're under new owners now, so I don't know if they'll still let somebody do a private or not.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Mary Baldwin is the one in Stanton. So they've had some paranormal activity there. They've they've had some. They every year there are certain rooms that people have a lot of activity at Mary Baldwin, and that people ask to change their rooms and stuff because of stuff that goes on. Um, I didn't. Again, if I'd have put together a top 20 list or a top 10 list, Bell Grove would definitely be in there. And it's because it's such a great location and it's got multiple locations that you can investigate and you always get something no matter where you're at. Now, sometimes people will get stuff in the main house. I tend to
Mm-hmm.
I tend to like the caretaker's house. I think sometimes we get a lot of stuff out there. But see, the Boxwood was quite active. There are, you know, there are just so many places, and I don't. If we could get some of these places back to doing investigations on a regular basis, um, give us choices. Because wouldn't it be great if you could just pick and choose each week? There's a place in Virginia that's going to do investigations.
Right.
Um, some of these places you'll go to 3 or 4 times in a year, and which doesn't bother me, depending on how close it is. So, one of the great places is the cabin on 360 because it is so centrally located to a lot of people,
Right.
and they can do that multiple
And you never
times.
know what's going to happen behind the red door.
I know that's
You never know what's behind the red door of the cabin on 360. Oh, sorry.
I had a girl tell me an amazing story about the pink pearl. And what she shared with me, I can't share in the air, but she said that she had an experience before she ever went into the pink pearl um, the second time. So the first time she went home and had this experience. And then now when she was going to go back, she was interested in see what was going to happen the second time. So maybe
Never
she
know.
needs maybe she needs to talk to Tina Pritchett.
That, maybe. I can't see any comments, so
Yeah, I think it was Dennis. Um,
let's see
Well,
that. Well, we have to
I
fix.
can't believe this hour's gone by already.
I know it, and I got 42 other places to mention, but
Oh,
we'll do it again. It'll be right before Christmas.
yes, it
Yeah,
will. You'll be the last person for Christmas because
yeah,
we will
yeah,
not be doing Vibe Time the last 2 weeks in December.
yeah. So
After
you're
Jonathan's,
so you're gonna be the last guest of the year.
yeah,
We'll have to do something special.
okay.
I'm not going to say it's going to be a Christmas special, but it'll be a.
Next week, y'all on Vibe Time with Jerry, we're going to be talking metaphysical. So we're going to be talking about crystals.
Are these kind of crystals that you keep in your pocket?
Yes. So it'll be metaphysical hour. Hopefully I can get the chat working on my end. Now I got to sit over here and try to troubleshoot and figure out what's going on because I've been OCD trying to figure it out.
Did you click stream and not private?
Yeah, I've got stream clicked. Yeah. But you guys, we'll see y'all next week on Vibe Time with Jerry. We always appreciate John Stevens coming on the show. Always.
Yeah.
I wish, Ronnie, I could definitely be a Santa if I had a white beard, but maybe I'll get to the manor house before Christmas.
That'd be nice. You're welcome anytime.
I appreciate that.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see y'all. Thank you again.
See you next week.
Yep, we'll see you, Dennis, soon.